The Delta Phi fraternity has enjoyed a long history at RPI dating back to the Civil War. And that legacy has resulted in many buildings on campus being named for our alumni. Here are a few sentences about the Lowe Center for Industrial Innovation, the Houston Fieldhouse, Caldwell Dorm, Nason Hall, Mason Laboratory, Walker Laboratory, and Barton Hall. The George M. Lowe Center for Industrial Innovation is named for George Michael Lowe, who became an indispensable leader at NASA, responsible for convincing President Kennedy in 1961 that it would be possible to land men on the moon and return them safely before the end of the decade, and responsible for key decisions affecting the space program from the time of NASA's inception until the shuttle era. He left NASA to become the 14th president of RPI. When George Lowe was an undergraduate, his mentor happened to be an older member of his fraternity and the 11th president of RPI, Livingston Houston, for whom the Fieldhouse is named. In his career prior to assuming the leadership of the Institute during World War II, Houston had been a very successful businessman, becoming the head of the Ludlow Valve Manufacturing Company, the largest maker of valves in the world. He had a mentor, James Caldwell, also a Delta Phi. Their bond grew beyond brotherhood as Houston married Caldwell's daughter. Caldwell Dorm in the Quad was donated by James Caldwell, but in memory of his son John, who became a Delta Phi brother like his father. John passed away at the age of 30. His dad wanted his memory to live on at RPI, and it does. Another interesting example of networking within Delta Phi is Henry Bradford Nason, for whom Nason Hall is named, and William Pitt Mason. Henry Nason was a world-renowned scientist when he came to Troy in the mid-1800s to teach science for almost 40 years until his death in 1895. He was beloved by his students and recommended for membership into our fraternity even though he was a professor. Nason accepted and became one of our most notable brothers. One of his students, who also joined Delta Phi, followed in his footsteps, becoming a favorite Rensselaer professor for half a century and making a name for himself on the world scientific stage. William Pitt Mason's primary contribution to the world was in the realm of hygiene and water sanitation, designing the water systems for cities around the world. He died in 1938, and a few years later RPI bought property on the southeast corner of Peoples Avenue and 8th Street, dedicating the building as Mason Laboratory, serving students for many years before being razed. Walker Laboratory is named for William Waitman Walker, who joined Delta Phi in 1882 and went on to become a medical doctor but died as a young man, only 26 years old. His mother donated $200,000 for the construction of the laboratory to be named in her son's honor. Another prominent campus building is Barton Hall, named for Dr. Neil Barton, who became a Delta Phi in 1956. His professional career culminated as president of the famous Dorr Oliver Company. He has served on the Institute Board of Trustees for 30 years. In the 14 months prior to Dr. Jackson coming to RPI, Neil served as acting president of Rensselaer, taking a salary of $1. Hope you've enjoyed learning about some of our campus buildings and those for whom they are dedicated. We'll save the remaining dorms and laboratories named for Delta Phi brothers for another time. Thanks for watching.